everybody. Welcome to our very special edition of Girl That'll Preach. This is our Christmas edition. So I am so excited about this episode. I've been planning it for months. Over the summer, I was trying to figure out how can we do something extra special for Christmas, because as you can see, I love this time of year. At our house, we celebrate. We start decorating in early November. You will hear Christmas music at my house way before the first frost. And of course, in mid-October, we start watching Christmas movies, of which I'm a huge fan. So today, for this episode, I've invited some of my friends to join me and talk about all things Christmas. And I just can't wait for you to meet these ladies. It is going to be a fun time. So let's start by introducing you all. Okay, first we have Terry Rising. Hey, Terry. So Terry and I have known each other since we both lived in the 6 down dorm at the University of Valley Forge a long time ago. That's where she met her husband, Jason, and they started their ministry together. Recently, Terry and Jason planted a new church called Verge Church in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. And they have 2 sons, one who's away at college and one who is helping with the church plant, which I think is so cool. Terry loves Christmas movies. She loves them so much that she'll watch them any time of year.
I have a reputation.
You do. So we had to invite Terry to come and kind of join into the fun. So thanks for coming, Terry.
Thanks for having me.
Next, we have Rosemary Knopf. Now, Rosemary and I are Christmas movie watching buddies. We watch movies and text each other, and I'll ask her, did you like it? She's like, yeah, I liked it, or she didn't like it. And we talk about the actors and actresses. Then we talk about the characters. We also do this for what's that movie we were watching? When Calls the Heart. We were doing that this summer, yes. And Rosemary and I were both on the winning team there. So whose name I can't remember right now, but we were both team, was it Nathan?
Lucas.
We were on team Lucas, that's right. So I can't believe I forgot that. But we keep this kind of going all year long. So Rosemary has been a pastor's wife for over 25 years. And we met at a pastor's wives retreat. I was the first year I was there, and she was one of the first people to talk to me and make me feel welcome and not so awkward. And it was just, I'll always appreciate that about you. And she has 2 children, Michaela and Nathaniel. So, hey, Rosemary. Hi. We have Jen Courtney. Now, Jen loves some movies. I've often seen her on Facebook talking about having a movie on while she's doing all the things she does in the background. And Jen is a busy lady, but her music in the background is Christmas movies. So that's a good thing. Jen is an ordained minister and a wife to Dan and a mom to 2 grown girls. Now, as an empty nester, she is mom to furry Wesley, who is her tiny little dog who does everything with her. So thanks for coming, Jen. So you guys ready to get started? Let's talk some Christmas.
All right.
So I have some questions for you, and we'll start with Jen and then Terry and then Rosemary. Just keep going that way, okay? First question, what is your all-time favorite Christmas movie?
My all-time favorite Christmas movie. I love pretty much any Christmas movie that has good acting. If it's bad acting, that would cause me to stop watching a Christmas movie. But my all-time favorite is It's a Wonderful Life.
I love that movie. We watch that every year since we were kids, and Jamie can recite it, which has now made it annoying.
Yeah,
because he does.
Yeah.
How about you, Terry?
that was actually really tough, because I could easily say I like all of them because they're Christmas movies, but there's like 3 specific ones that we watch with special time. So July was always a thing. We watch Elf with my kids every July, like, because we'd be touring and it just was a thing. It just became a thing. And then Thanksgiving, we watch Scrooge the Musical. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. I love it. And then when we're putting up Christmas tree and the decorations, we watch all the like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like all the old classic Christmas movies. But I would say my all-time favorite is Elf.
It has to be, and I think Elf is one of the best ever.
We were actually in New York City when they were filming it, so I think that's probably why.
That's awesome. Wow, what a great story.
Yeah, but they said, we were walking, they're like, oh, they're making a movie called Elf with James Caan in it. So I thought it was like a horror movie. Like I thought this was like this horror flick, and I'm like, oh, sounds nice. And then when it came out, I realized it was a Christmas movie. That's my favorite.
I read an article that said they thought Elf was gonna fail. They honestly thought it would bomb, and it's like huge. Fantastic.
Yep.
Rosemary?
Not gonna lie, I'm not a huge Elf fan. I'm sorry to everyone who was there, but it's okay. We all have our favorites. My all-time favorite Christmas movie is The Nativity Story. Came out of, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 years ago, maybe. Definitely my favorite. But we do have two traditions, and I didn't think about those. When we're decorating for Christmas, for the last 20 years or so, we have watched Barney's Night Before Christmas. And yes, my children are 21 and 19, and yes, I still put it on because those are the songs we have to hear while we're watching it. And then on Christmas Eve, we always watch Charlie Brown's Christmas. So those are the other two favorite ones in our house. But
I think that's what makes
Sorry
great,
about
like,
the Elf.
traditions. Like I'm not a huge fan of It's a Wonderful Life anymore, but we listen to that every year, every single year since we were kids. And it's just, you have to watch it because it's the tradition. But I had a hard time with this because I love them all. But right now, I think my favorite is Daddy's Home Too. If you can find it, that movie is hysterical.
And you can watch that all the time because
you can watch that one in July. That was just good. That would be my favorite right now. That we have an edited version of it and is pretty good. So, okay, here's a question for you: how early is too early to start celebrating Christmas, and when do you traditionally put up your tree?
I am in such a battle with this answer between my head and my heart because I love Christmas, but I am such a rule follower that I cannot do really much of anything Christmas until after Thanksgiving. Like it just feels like a sin to do something Christmassy before Thanksgiving. So even though sometimes I'll sneak in some Christmas music or maybe a Christmas movie, but I just gotta follow the rules. As much as my heart would love to do it as soon as it starts getting cold, I suppose.
Funny. I'm actually the same way.
You are?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll listen to Christmas music in the summer. Like my family thinks I'm nuts. But once it gets to like October, I have to stop. Because you just can't do it from October until after Thanksgiving. My husband's like, why? Like, you're doing it now. I'm like, I know, but it's like you have to stop. You can't, like, I don't want to get too sick of it. I gotta stop. But I do that, and then like the weekend after Christmas, that's when we start.
That's funny. That's funny. I'm very similar to both of you. I feel like I could all the time. We usually decorate we put up the tree and put up our decorations right after Thanksgiving, usually that weekend after. My fear is if I put them up too early, and I don't know that it could ever happen, but I'm afraid I would get tired of them too quick. If they were up all the time, they wouldn't be quite as special. So wait until the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we play the Barney Christmas, we put up the tree, and we get everything out then.
Well, for once in my life, I am the rebel in the group, and that never happens.
I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked for someone who likes to wear her flip-flops and her white capris or something.
That's like when that's over, then I go right to Christmas because I feel sad that summer's over. So I just kind of jump right into Christmas. Although this year summer just keeps going. So that's fine with me. But we'll do it yeah, we'll have everything set up by the first week in November. But we don't turn on the outside lights till after Thanksgiving because that would be embarrassing and wasteful. Because we have an electric bill, so we can't run the electric bill.
Girls gotta have
I
it.
will leave. The rule is we have to have them taken down by the first man tour, which is usually the last week in January. So I never do get tired of it. It stays up way longer than it should. But
Will you keep that Christmas tree up?
oh yeah,
Okay.
it's way too much work to take that down. I'm not taking it up. Yeah, I'll leave it up. I'll put up more in a week or two. So for everyone who doesn't know, we are filming this in a very hot day in October. So we all have our
Yeah.
air conditioners running. So.
Absolutely.
But we're planning ahead. So what is your favorite Christmas treat? Let's start with Rosemary this time.
I love eggnog. I know it's a love it or hate it kind of thing. I love eggnog. I love eggnog milkshakes from McDonald's. They're my favorite. And if I could add some little treat to go with that, it would be snickerdoodles. And yes, you can have snickerdoodles any time of year, but I don't. I only have them at Christmas for some reason. So snickerdoodles and eggnog, that's Christmas for me.
I went into a bakery to try and buy a snickerdoodle in the summer because I was like really craving one. And they told me I couldn't have any till they don't bring them out till November. So
maybe it is a Christmas thing. I don't know.
I don't know. How about you, Jen?
My favorite Christmas treat, my mom made like 24 different kinds of cookies for Christmas. Like not 24, but 24 different kinds. So no wonder I love Christmas, right? Like she went crazy. So my favorite Christmas treat, mostly, I mean, they're delicious, but also it just reminds me of my mom. They're little green wreath cookies. They're made out of cornflakes. It's kind of like a Rice Krispie treat thing. It's got marshmallows and butter, so like it's good. And so you make up this batter mixture and food color as much green as you want in there, and then you form these little wreaths, and they're just so cute. And then you put a little red hot on there for the holly, and there's just such good memories with it, and they taste good. I remember my dad so patiently helping mom in the kitchen form these wreath cookies. He was part of the factory, so there's lots of good memories tied in, and they taste good.
Oh, that's a sweet story.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Terry?
I would definitely say same, eggnog. But again, I'm a rule follower, so I was at the store the other day and I was going to get some to drink some while we were talking. I'm like,
Too early.
Yep, you can't sip it and drink it until at least when you're putting up the Christmas tree. So I didn't get it. And then my mother makes Christmas cookies like every year and has a whole freezer full. And then we have, which I don't know why we eat these at Christmas, but wedding cookies. Very Italian family, wedding cookies and Lady Locks. Babe, Christmas treat. It's the only time of year she makes them.
So good. I love that I'm the rebel here. I have never been the rebel in anything in my whole life. So this is good, but I'm the only one who doesn't have their Christmas after Thanksgiving. For me, though, it actually is this way. When we were growing up, my grandmother would buy every one of us this chocolate that was made by it's an old European family in a mom and pop store locally where we live. And every year we would all get this one box of chocolate. It's the best chocolate because it's just fantastic. The recipe is amazing. And so whenever Christmas comes around, I start craving these little chocolates. And they closed a couple of years ago because they had an accident in their factory or something. And so for like years, we didn't have this. But then about 3 years ago, we found out they moved and they reopened up somewhere else. So we drove 2 hours to get Christmas chocolate. And now it's kind of just become a tradition that we have this chocolate. And I like to give it out as gifts now to other people and extend the very special family chocolate. But I don't like it over the summer. I only like it around the holidays. So
cute.
2 hours is definitely worth the drive for chocolate.
Yeah.
Good chocolate. Worth it.
This chocolate is very good. It's actually closer to where you are. So
Oh,
yeah.
where that is.
Yeah, you check it out. Okay, does anybody have a favorite Christmas movie quote? Terry, how about you?
Okay, so the movie I actually never really liked the movie. The one you guys were talking about earlier. I can't remember the name of it. It's a Wonderful Life. That was never one of my favorite. I don't know why they're my favorites, but because of a song with Toby Mac in the 90s from his Yo Ho Ho album.
Oh my goodness.
Yo Ho Ho. We're dating our age. In that song, he keeps going on about every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings on one of those songs in the album, and ever since then, I actually liked it. I like that, but only because of the album Yo Ho Ho.
I love that you had a Toby Mac Yo Ho Ho quote.
I did.
How about you, Rosemary?
Oddly, this is a really weird one. When you ask the question, the very first quote that comes to mind whenever someone says your favorite quote from a Christmas movie comes from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And there's a spot where Eddie says to Clark, are you surprised? And he says, if I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I could not be any more surprised than I am right now. I love that quote. I say it all the time. I just think it's hilarious. That movie has its things, and there are some things that aren't great about it, but some of the lines in that movie are so funny, and we quote them in our house all year long. So
there are versions of it out there there are versions that are cleaned out. Put it on your DVR and it's hysterical. So.
Yeah.
How about you, Jen?
Well, as a pure It's a Wonderful Life movie lover, my favorite quote is from that movie, and it's from the beginning of the movie when Clarence is called to the meeting and getting his assignment. And I forget what they call him, but like the angel leader or whatever that's giving Clarence the assignment tells him, he's telling him about George Bailey. And he says something like, I need to show you and about him. And Clarence says, well, what, is he sick? And he answers, no, worse, he's discouraged. And then the whole movie is about how much each life matters. And, stemming from that quote in the movie, that discouragement is worse than sickness. And just, I think that's so true. And such a great thing to be reminded of in that movie as the movie displays. But that discouragement is a legit reason to need help.
Yeah. So for me, I had a hard time with this one because we quote movies a lot around our house. Like, it's not uncommon to hear us quoting from any movie. So we quote Elf a lot and quote It's a Wonderful Life a lot. But sometimes at Christmas, I find myself quoting from Christmas Vacation where they say it's Christmas and we're all in misery. And I just kind of like that line when you have to start dealing with some of the just Christmas nonsense. So that's what I find myself quoting a lot, but also a lot of Elf. Smiling is my favorite. And every time a bell rings, what is it? The best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear. So yeah, I had a lot of favorites. So we all know Hallmark movies are totally cheesy and they have the same plot over and over again. But when you watch a Hallmark movie, what is one thing that you're like, I need to do that someday? What is what do you think? I need to put that in my bucket list. So Jen, you seem to have an answer just waiting to come out of you. So
I think that on my bucket list should be a set designer and someone to come and decorate and prepare all of the baking and cooking that they do, because they make it look so easy, like it's not work at all, right? That's what I want. But seriously, I think when they do like small town events, like lighting the Christmas tree in the center of town or something like that, that just is so very cheesy Hallmark movie, but it's so cute. So that would be something that I would enjoy, like going and knowing everybody. Like it's just this big fun reunion in the middle of town.
That does seem fun, doesn't it? I'd love to do that. How about you, Rosemary?
I actually have the whole thing, the Christmas festival. You know, if it's in town or out at someone's farm, wherever, where they go ice skating and there's a bonfire and they're drinking cocoa and just all of those things, and there's a light snow falling, of course. But yeah, just if I could find a place that had a festival like that and had sleigh rides, not sledding, but sleigh rides. With with a big bonfire. Oh, that would be the ultimate to me. That sounds amazing.
Sounds fun. Terry?
I have two. One's a sleigh ride.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been on, like you go to New York, you go on the horse and carriage kind of thing, and you're like, and then you watch these movies and you're like, they're all on sleigh rides. Yeah. It's snowing, like in the Santa Claus 2, where he's going through town and he just had the snow coming down. There's not the snow anywhere else, but just coming down right where you're at. That, and when you watch them, the ones with the singing, with the musicals, you wish, that's when I'm like, I want, because I can't sing worth a lick, that I could sing in the middle of a Christmas thingy.
For me, it's the carriage ride. Someday I'm going on a carriage ride somewhere. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen. So I want to bring up the topic that many people are talking about with Hallmark movies this year. And that is that in 2020, Hallmark made the announcement that their movies were going to be more inclusive. And because everybody knows that I love Hallmark movies, and because I am pretty well known for having taken a stance about Christians being responsible for what they watch, suddenly I was getting texts all, the time. I was like, man, people really know I like Hallmark movies. But they're all like, what are you going to do? Are you going to watch? Are you going to boycott? What are you going to do? And thankfully, I had thought this through ahead of time, because I've been sadly reading news articles about it beforehand, like Hallmark movies in the news. Of course, I'm going to read it. And I sort of thought this through. And this is what I arrived at. Now, this is just for me. If the Holy Spirit tells you to do something different, listen to the Holy Spirit. But this is my decision that I feel comfortable with. I feel like it is hypocritical to hold Hallmark to a standard that I don't hold every other channel in the world to. The fact is that every channel has content that I disagree with. I don't boycott channels, I boycott shows. For instance, CBS has some terrible shows on at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, they're just filled with pornography and demonic content and just, stuff that I don't think any Christian should ever be watching. But they also have on Jeopardy. So I'm not boycotting Jeopardy because of something that's on at a completely different time of day. I choose shows within biblical standards and I watch them. Other shows I reject. And so I feel like that's how I feel about Hallmark movies. If I know ahead of time that they're advertising something that goes against biblical standards, I don't watch that one. And sometimes they sneak it in and you don't know till you're like 3/4 of the way through the movie. So I don't watch it again, because yes, I watch them over and over again. And I watch what is good and I don't watch what is bad. Kind of like I do with The Good Witch. I personally do not believe that Christians should be watching magic or witches or the occult or anything like that. So I don't watch The Good Witch, but I turn it back on when Chesapeake Shores comes back on a couple weeks later. So I think it is my responsibility to choose what I watch. Prior to 2020, Hallmark made zillions of movies that were totally within biblical standards. I mean, that's what we all love about them. I was talking to my chiropractor this week, and he said him and his wife were so happy Hallmark was coming back with movies, because there's like 6 shows Christians can watch on TV now that aren't mocking you or making fun of you or, totally sinful. He's like, so Hallmark, we can usually count on. Hallmark is not a Christian organization. It is not a Christian channel. It isn't their responsibility to live by biblical standards. It's my responsibility to live by biblical standards. I choose what I watch every day, all year round. I choose to watch shows that fit into Philippians 4:8, fixing my mind on things that are true and honorable and pure and lovely and right. I choose to obey biblical standards year round. One of the reasons I really like Hallmark is their content usually fits the standard. I can watch it and I don't have to repent afterwards. I don't have to feel guilty. I can just enjoy it and go to bed with a clear conscience. When they do things that don't fit into biblical standards, I turn it off, and there were movies last year that I really wanted to watch. Some of my favorite actors and actresses were in movies last year that they were advertising. We're going to advocate things I didn't believe in, but I just didn't watch them. I turned on a different one, and it was okay because my commitment to the God and the Bible is more important than Hallmark. On the other hand, if there's nothing wrong with them, I'm going to enjoy them. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to celebrate Christmas. I'm just going to be responsible for what I watch, keeping pure things in my mind, and have a good old time watching cheesy chick Christmas movies. So that is my soapbox moment. Take it for what it is worth. And now I'm going to open it up because I've asked each of these ladies, more than just knowing them as fellow movie lovers. These are all women that I love and I respect. And I know they are godly women who can give you practical advice to help you through the holiday season. So each one of them is going to get their own soapbox moment. Are you ready? Okay, who wants to go first? Jen, you can go first. Okay.
Okay. Well, within the soapbox moment, the way that Adessa worded the question was something about encouraging women. So as I was thinking about, what's on my heart, what I would want to encourage women with, what came to my mind was all the Christmas carols that I love to sing, and something that I have paid attention to the last couple of years, especially, is really, as I'm singing the songs, which I love that Sunday in church when you can start singing Christmas carols, when I'm singing them or listening to them, really listening to the words, because, they're hymns. And so there's such deep meaning in them. So pay attention to Christmas carols this year, because, we could sing them in our sleep. They're so familiar to us. So I just want to mention a couple that, are some of my favorites, and a couple of the lyrics that really just jump out at me as far as the meaning of Christmas and the weight of it. So in Hark the Herald Angels Sing, I love the line talking about him laying down his glory. And I wrote a little devotional about this. So I'm just going to read that. Hark, the carol begins with a booming word, grabbing attention, just like the angels captured the shepherds. Their attention the first Christmas night, but angels announcing to shepherds. The adjective mild, describing glory. Everything about Jesus is not what you expect, starting from the very beginning. I am in awe of the line, mild he lays his glory by. Mild is meek, glory has all the power. Mild is humble, unnoticed. Glory speaks for itself, deafening the world. Yet God in human form, Jesus, somehow encapsulates all of the above, meek and power, humble and deafening. We can trust the hand, that nail-pierced hand that created the world, he then came to save. So mild he lays his glory by. We sing it without thinking, all of us, but that just captured my heart as I've been intentionally trying to pay attention to the lyrics of these well-known Christmas carols. Another one that just brings me to tears when I take the time to really listen is in O Holy Night. My favorite line is, long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. The fact is that we don't have worth without Jesus. And the pining world knew that and only felt its worth after Jesus came. Words in that hymn like pining, weary world, oppressions cease, just brings me to tears when it comes to the line at the end of the carol. Let all within us praise his holy name. He is so worthy of our praise. And so I just want to remind everyone to, pay attention to the things that are so familiar about Christmas, but that really speak about the reason for it and about what Jesus did for us.
It's beautiful. Thanks, Jen. See, I told you you'd like these ladies. Okay. Rosemary?
So my thoughts of encouragement for Christmas is this. I think we take so much time and so much effort to make Christmas into this perfect thing. And we all love the Hallmark movies because they're perfect and they have their traditions and they have their decorations and the perfect cookies. And my children are now, I still call them my children, they're adults, but they're 19 and 21. And I'm so glad that I had so many opportunities to make traditions that are important with them. They may not be by the world's standard fancy traditions, and they may not be something that everyone is expecting at Christmas, but they're the things that were important to us and the things that were important to my kids and the time that was spent with them. So if you have kids that are young, make sure you just enjoy the time. If there's a tradition you want to start because you think it's fun, do it. Do it with your kids. They're going to love it. My children, even last year, got pajamas on Christmas Eve, and we watched the Charlie Brown Christmas. And I didn't know it then, but on Christmas morning, the last time, because my daughter just got married, for our last time, we sat on our bed and read this tiny little book that came with these little stuffed animals that we started when they were, 1 and 4 or 1 and 3. And so just take those opportunities because you're going to miss them. You're definitely going to miss them. And for yourself, make sure that you are enjoying Christmas for you. The reason for the season, Jen spoke so much about it. Make sure you listen to those words, to those songs, read through Luke, really remind yourself what Christmas is for, and take those moments to sit, to breathe, to rejoice, to be grateful, to be thankful that our Savior came for us, that he loved us that much to come for us. So make sure that as an individual, as a woman of God, that you take that time to really appreciate it, and then take the time to appreciate the season, appreciate your family. That's my moment.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, Terry.
Actually, mine goes right along with that. I've talked to so many women that don't even enjoy the season because they're so busy shopping, they're so busy cooking, they're so busy just getting things done around them that they don't just sit in the moment and enjoy what it's really all about. And I know I have a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old, and one's coming home for college, and I sit and even now, like, we're already in the end of October, like this year absolutely flew, and not the whole year flies, the season flies, and just to sit there and enjoy it and knowing and hearing all the things, oh, you need to start shopping now because of all the stuff, on the cargo ships, and, not being able to stuff on the shelves and that stuff, how we can really just sit back and think and really ponder of what we made Christmas in the past and what we in the future can make what Christmas really is all about. it makes me so sad when I hear women like, even from my family members, that just don't enjoy it because there's just too much going on, like absolutely too much going on. I'm just like, I don't know, maybe it's my personality. I'm an ESFP, so I just kind of go with everything, but I'm like, gosh, I'm trying to enjoy it. I just want to enjoy every single moment, what Christmas really means when my family is around, what we're doing when they're around, just being able to enjoy every single minute. So I don't look back at the end of the year and go, not only, oh my goodness, where did this year go and what did I do, but what did I do in this particular season, and with what he's given me and with what I'm doing with my time. So.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. So important that we just enjoy the season. It's yeah. I love what you guys said. Everything that you said, girl, that'll preach. And that's why I love talking to all of you, because you all have such good hearts and such great insight. So thank you so much for joining us for our little Christmas celebration. Thanks to all of my friends for coming and sharing. It's been fun talking to you guys. And I just love knowing every one of you and connecting with you, whether it be on Facebook or in person. I just love you guys. And as Clarence said in It's a Wonderful Life, no man is a failure who has friends. So thank you for being my friends.
Yeah.
And for all of you, if you like what you heard today, we'd love it if you took a second and share this podcast to social media on your social media accounts. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. And visit AdessaHolden.com to learn more about our books and resources, or like the Adessa Holden Ministries Facebook page or our YouTube channel. So that's what we have for today. We will see you next year on Girl That'll Preach. And until then, everybody have a fantastic Christmas.
Yes.
Are you looking for a fun and inspiring devotional book? Ageless Truths is a 21-day devotional where I share the ageless truths that I learned in my 40s that I really wish I knew much earlier in life. Come join in the silliness, feel the camaraderie in our similar female challenges, and be encouraged to be the woman that God created you to be. Whether you work through it on your own or as a group, you're going to be inspired by the ageless truth that God loves you, and no matter how young or old you are, He has a plan and purpose for your life. Whatever your age, this book's going to make you laugh, make you think, and inspire you to apply the ageless truths of the Bible to your life. Order your copy today at AdessaHolden.com/ageless truths.